What the hell did I just read? Things have now taken a completely new turn. Completely exceeding expectations, indeed. Chapter 951 of One Piece is out, and it seems that it was an understatement last week when I said that the second act of Wano seems to be going on for a bit longer. We just got a whole new storyline, but one thing after the next. Before we dive into the chapter though, I want to let you guys know that I will be answering your questions for the very first hour this video is online. So make sure to drop a comment and maybe even a like. But now let's head right into the chapter. We don't get to know in this chapter if Chopper was already able to cure Luffy and the prisoners, but once again check in on other places around Wano. We start off with more of the aftermath of the two prison breaks. The leader of the Oniwa Banshu, Fukurokuju, informs the shogun that the intruders had managed to escape the capital. While Orochi is clearly displeased with this piece of information, the fact that Luffy and Law have now been captured lifts his mood and he orders his men to use every torture method available to them. A very reasonable order. But then again, we already know of course that Orochi is a man of rational thinking and smart decisions. Not. What the shogun can't know of course is that Luffy not only escaped Udon prison, but rather took it over. But since there's no communication and no one right now to report it, it will most likely take some time to reach Kaido's and Orochi's ears. Meanwhile, we see the streets of the Flower Capital now being patrolled by the so-called Mimawari Gumi, a special police force if you want. I don't know if they are more or less capable than the Ninja Squad, but in the end, I doubt that they pose any real threat at the moment, since apart from Sanji and Shinobu, everyone already seems to have left the capital. Why did the two of them stay? Are they on a romantic date? As it turns out, no. Since we didn't see how the brawl in the capital ended, we also didn't really know what happened to the prisoners. But as we now learn, none of them have made it out. All the followers of the Kozuki clan in the capital are still captured, and the job to break them out seems to have been left to Sanji and Shinobu. I'm curious to see what the two of them will manage to accomplish together. At the same time, new Wano-style wanted posters are being distributed all over the country, and I have a few comments about these posters. Firstly, and most obviously, I think these wanted posters look almost nothing like anyone depicted on them, which we will see works to everyone's advantage. Secondly, I love that the Heart Pirates have been included and are actually shown for a change. Even though Law has been allied with the crew for almost the entirety of the New World, we haven't seen anything from his crew except on Zou, so I really like how they were integrated here. Lastly, as every chapter, I simply have to say again that I love the art style of these posters. I love the traditional Japanese style, I love that Shinobu looks nothing like herself on her poster, and I also love how they call Beppo a white bear. Get me one of these posters please. Speaking of Beppo, we next learn that he, Sachi and Penguin have been freed from their cell after all. And it finally shines some more light on what happened between Law and Hawkins. It appears that Law gave Hawkins the one-time chance to take him without resistance if he lets his men go. If not, he would kill him and as a consequence his men nonetheless. So I really like how this was cleared up by Oda immediately in the next chapter. I know some people, including me, were a little bit confused how this turned out. But I think offering himself for his crew and at the same time threatening to kill Hawkins and his men in case they refused was pretty much as Law as it gets. We know he clearly cares for his crew and also know he's not as cold as he wants people to think. But at the same time, he also truly is a ruthless person, so I feel like this move was really in character. Well done, Oda. At the same time, there are some pretty fishy things about this entire affair. Firstly, Hawkins states that he feels very intimidated by Law's unpredictability. Now, while I don't doubt that this might be the case, why say so out loud? Seems a little unnecessary to me, or is there more behind it? Secondly, we now see in this flashback that Law was actually still uninjured when he was exchanging himself for his crew. So all the blood and damage we saw last chapter apparently was done after he was already captured. Then, as I overlooked last chapter, but many of you pointed out to me, Law might very well have tangled with some personalities here, especially since Drake was acting so weirdly. Thanks for that by the way. And lastly, Law ordered his men to not let Luffy know that he had been captured. I don't know about you guys, but I think this all smells of some intentional plan to me. Either Law simply doesn't want Luffy to cause an even bigger disturbance, or he actually planned on getting captured. That's the vibe I get at least. And can we just talk for a second about how earned the name of the worst generation is? Because for literally none of these supernovas we have ever actually any clue what they're truly up to. Is Hawkins biding his time to join Luffy and Law? Or is he truly loyal to Kaido? Is Drake still working for the Marines? Or has he really decided to just work for Yonko? What is Apu up to? And what makes Law so confident in the situation? They are all truly the worst. But I like it. Beppo meanwhile hands Nami the modified leaflet that Yasu made that was given to him by Law. While Nami leaves to reunite with the others, Law's crew obviously immediately starts planning on how to break their captain out. While this will clearly go against the plan, I also really want to see what all of them are actually capable of. I don't think we have ever seen any of them fight as far as I can remember. Nami in the meantime returns to Frankie and Kanjuro, who has taken over Yasu's body from the people of Ibisu Town. He promises to hold a proper burial for him in Curry, and then leaves with Frankie and Nami towards Curry, on a flaming tiger. Because why not? No big deal. Why does Frankie have a burning mythical tiger? No use wondering, I guess. Maybe these amazing mythical creatures just stand around Wano like rental bikes. Next we catch up with Robin and Usopp, who are trying to make their way out of the capital by boat. And you can see that Oda really liked the resonance of his joke with the shocked faces. Because to avoid being identified by the wanted posters, Robin and Usopp use the exact same facial expression again. And isn't that kind of breaking the fourth wall? I love Oda for this. I'm not gonna lie, despite what's still to come, this was my personal highlight of this chapter. Both Robin and Usopp are quickly led on one of the boats, especially since Brook is following them, posing as a ghost. And since everyone is clearly scared of him, he also manages to smuggle Toko with him on the boat, where Robin takes her into her arms. A very warm scene that I also liked a lot. Lastly, we land once again in Curry, where Shutenmaru has led Kinemon and Inuarashi to an abandoned port. He shows them a large collection of damaged ships that he collected after they were destroyed by Kaido. This is once again an amazingly drawn scene shot, and I love the oriental design of these warships. Kinemon immediately mentions Frankie when thinking about how they could repair all of them and use them to transport their forces to Onigashima. I really like that Oda finally starts to put some emphasis on all of the Straw Hats' roles again in Wano. I have kinda missed that. We haven't seen Frankie and Chopper doing anything in it feels like forever, and it makes me grin to finally get to see them matter again out of combat. Thumbs up. And that's it, guys. That was the chapter. Good stuff. See you next week. Nah, just kidding, of course. Now we come to the real fun part. A lot sooner than I expected, we cut to Onigashima, where we are thrown into confusion right away. We see the Beast Pirates hurriedly carrying tons of sweets to the captured Big Mom that is confidently munching down on them. We then get one of the best triple shots in the entire series, with Jack, Queen and King each showing their shocked reaction to what is actually happening here. While we know a lot more about their cruelty than the last time we saw them, I can't help but feel that the three of them give up a pretty comedic vibe together there. They are three of Kaido's strongest fighters and are at a loss of words at what to do here. Big Mom meanwhile casually asks King to join her crew, dropping the bomb that King is actually one of 3 races she doesn't have in her country. King is the possibly last survivor of a mysterious race that was allegedly extinguished from history. Say what? I hope you agree with me that that's some incredible piece of information. A new mysterious race that has been extinguished from history? Sounds like the world government might have had its hands in there somehow. I know a YouTuber or two that will love to jump right at this new information. The scene doesn't stop here though, and we finally find out how Big Mom is so self-confident in the situation. Except for being a damn Yonko, of course. Because Kaido enters the scene, and the first thing he does is to order his men to take off Big Mom's chains. And then, for the first time since Shanks and Whitebeard, we see 2 Yonko clash directly. And the sky splits again. Wow, what an end. I mean guys, what to say, there will be a lot, and I mean a lot to speculate about this. From my personal point of view, this is probably more of a greeting between the two rather than a real fight. We know that Kaido is still indebted to Big Mom in some way or form, and we know they used to be on the same crew. Plus, Kaido released her from her chains. So I would expect that this is rather them doing their old thing, rather than two Yonkos clashing. What confuses me even more then is that if Big Mom and Kaido end up being friendly towards each other, where does that leave Big Mom's relationship with the Straw Hat? All gone? Still in process? As Oda stated himself at the end of this chapter, he truly exceeded my expectations here. This once again opens up so many new possibilities. Because Luffy can find two Yonko at once, but I also don't see Big Mom just leaving. I'm pretty hyped up for all of this. Also, I love the little explanation we got on the side for why Napoleon didn't do anything while she had lost her memories. Turns out he simply was too shy to do anything. That's a little weird, but also pretty funny, and an explanation I can actually live with. So there we have it, guys. Let's try and recap this chapter. We got to see all of the Straw Hats except Luffy, Chopper and Zoro heading towards Curry again. I love how Oda manages to incorporate them more naturally in Wano than in past arcs. We also got an explanation for how Law ended up captured, but still have no clue if he has a plan or not. We got to see the fleet of broken ships Shutenmaru has collected for the Alliance and how he actually prepared for all of these years after all. And finally, we got this crazy scene on Onigashima. It's just written so incredibly well. A mix of tension, comedy and excitement. King is the last of a mysterious race, and Big Mom seems to know right from the bat that Kaido will release her, and they end up clashing. But everything seems very familiar between them. I truly can't tell where all of this is going, but I'm gonna promise you that Wano won't end by Big Mom and Kaido taking each other out. I guess the second act will end with most of the Straw Hats reuniting in Curry. But I also think we have to wrap up the Udon prison arc first. So there probably are still a couple of chapters left until Act 3 of Wano, or possibly even some more reverie. All in all, guys, this was just a crazy chapter. For me it was a 10 out of 10, even though I'm not a big fan of ratings, but I loved all of it. And now I can't wait to hear your thoughts and questions about what happened. As promised, I will answer your questions for the first hour this video is online. So don't forget to leave a comment and also leave me a like in case you enjoyed this review. But of course, as always, you can also dislike, don't share and unsubscribe. I hope to see you around next time, and until then, have a great week.